And joining us now is a senior fellow from the Hudson Institute, a very reputed one in Washington, D.C., Aparna Pande. And I have to tell everybody for the past year, after the Prime Minister visited the US, Aparna and I have been talking a lot about this elusive trade deal, which has occurred today, which has happened, been announced today. And every time I would run into Aparna, and she would always tell me, it will happen when the president decides it will happen. He will wake up one day and decide this is the time to do it. And to your words, Aparna, that is exactly what happened this morning. We all woke up and then realized the president wants to do a trade deal with India. Your initial reaction?
It's great that the trade deal has been announced. It's even greater that instead of 50%, it'll be 18%, even lower than the original 25%, which I think places India among a group of nations, very few nations. Most of India's neighbors and many others, including China, have much higher tariff rates. And again, it is possible that the president lowers the rates again at a future date if he feels that the relationship with India is getting better. It's a great announcement. The devil is always in the details.
Yep.
So the announcement per the Truth Social post says that India will reduce all tariffs to zero. Will that mean agriculture and farm and dairy and all of those as well? And that India will stop purchasing any Russian oil. I don't know how much exactly we are purchasing today, but I'm sure it will take more than a few days for a few weeks for that to happen. And that there's an announcement of $500 billion of
Yeah.
Indian purchases. Considering that the Indian annual budget is 635 billion, the 500 billion number is a very high number for India. But considering that every trade deal has an announcement of 500 billion to a trillion, it's not surprising. So it's a great deal. Let's see what happens now.
And interesting, the White House has clarified that the 25% punitive tariffs are also off the table, meaning India is only going to be paying 18%. A lot of people in India would also be happy that the neighbor Pakistan is paying
Paying
is paying
19%.
19% and
Yes.
it's less than that. Something that the Secretary Lutnick talked about, that India was in this ladder position, and then India is getting kind of a sweet deal now. Um, this is one aspect of the relationship, right? Unfortunately, this became the big roadblock
Mhm.
into the India-US relationship. Now, what's next in terms of how do you foresee this relationship going forward? I did speak with Ambassador Gore, and he said there will be a Quad summit, and US has not given up on Quad. What are your thoughts about how this relationship can move ahead without worrying what transpired in the last year?
It will be very difficult to go back to what's called status quo ante. In sort of despite this Truth Social post, the trade deal happens. There may be a Quad leaders summit, but the strategic partnership has been damaged. It took 35 years and five successive presidencies to build that relationship. And when you hurt a strategic partnership or damage a friendship, it takes more than a few Truth Social posts and a few meetings for it to go back. It takes years for that to happen.
Yeah.
And so, yes, India, US, hopefully the trade deal has happened, the Quad Leaders Summit, Pax Silica in a few days, maybe some other announcements. But there will be, a commercial relationship, there will be a military to military relationship, maybe even the people to people will improve if the H-1B and the immigration, all of that is still there as well,
Yeah.
the visas issue. But the strategic partnership is bigger than that. The strategic partnership rested on the notion that the US administration and president believe that a relationship with India is in the American interest. And that it's important in and of itself, not because of tariffs or because of a Quad summit or
Yeah.
because of India, purchasing or not purchasing Russian oil. And so that strategic partnership will have to be rebuilt after 1 year of it facing a stress. And that will not be easy to do. Now, almost every ally and friend of the United States, their relationship is under stress right now. So India is not an exception. But India is among the few which is not a security ally, has not been a security ally or a friend for 80 years compared to many others, and has a very different relationship with the United States, considering that it's a post-colonial country which values its strategic autonomy. And so rebuilding the strategic relationship will, I believe, take a few years. It may even take the next American president to rebuild the India-US strategic partnership.
All right. On that note, thank you so much, Aparna. I know you're short on time today, but a big day. I
Yeah,
think the
it's a big day.
biggest since the Prime Minister was here last year. India
Absolutely.
finally has something that they're going to look at and work with, especially in terms of trade, and then hopefully move past some other roadblocks that have been haunting this important relationship for at least a year to say. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us, Aparna. Thank
Always
you.
pleasure to be here.